I've muted the audio so you can hear the commentary. When the player first spawns in, they'll look out this window. They can see the majority of the map. This just helps to give a sense of scale and adds to a little bit of the realism of the map. The player can see where they're going to be going and what they're going to be doing. They can also see the G-Man in the background there, and that's just a little Easter egg that Valve puts into their Half-Life maps. Coming down these stairs and going through this door, the player will notice this symbol on the wall. This symbol is an indication of a hidden supply cache. These are used throughout Half-Life to create a sense of immersion by forcing the player to pay attention to the environment around them. They also add little puzzles to these hidden caches to break up the pace of the level and give something the player to do. Here is another window that shows the player where they're going to end up, down there where that light is. Coming through this door, the player will attempt to go through here but find out it's locked, and they'll see a button on the other side. They'll backtrack to these boards, which you can break with the crowbar or the grav gun. Those boards, again, are used to break up the pace of the level, to slow things down, whereas if these weren't here, the player would simply just walk through and completely ignore everything around them. The fact that physics is used in Half-Life is again added to create a sense of realism. Here you have the same problem. Boards, and to get through them this time, you can just blow them up. Just adds something different to a relatively simple puzzle. These buttons are used throughout the map and are used as an indication of interaction, i.e. the player has to do something with that button in order to progress. Here it's used quite simple, it's just used to make that elevator door open. You can break this padlock on this door to get to these caches here. Again, just to break up the pace. Coming outside, it's just a nice nighttime environment that just nicely contrasts with the lights. This really helps to kind of display to the player where they need to be going. You can see how this light nicely lights up this ladder. Valve uses this a lot in Half-Life. It's just one of their subtle game design techniques that they use to indicate to the player where to go next, rather than just telling them exactly where they need to go. Here, a simple puzzle, you just get the crate and climb through the window. Coming into here, most players will probably try to open this door and they'll find out it's locked, but you'll see that button again. Just another indication of that they need to get to that button. Also nicely lit. The only real option that the player has to do now, after a bit of looking around, is to go up through here, and you'll see this little animation play out in front of them. This just gives an indication to the player of how this elevator works. Valve uses this all of the time to hint to the player solutions to different puzzles across the game. That saw blade is just added as a little additional detail that can be used to kill the enemy. As you saw, you can just shoot him, but the saw blade again is just used as something interesting. It's something to do, it's a way to interact with the environment, and it's also indicated to the player that they can use it as a weapon by this chopped in half zombie here. So coming along to the elevator, it's a simple counterweight system. So you'll see that you won't really move much when you put just one item on it, but the more items you put on the elevator, it will slowly start to go up and you can drop more on to go faster. Now, to make sure the player can actually get back up in case they fall off, they'll just have to reset the puzzle by removing those blocks. The elevator will reset itself to the middle positions and then they can platform up and do it again. Coming across here and down into the little room where you press the button and that door will open. Again, it's in the line of sight just so that it's fairly obvious to the player where they need to be going, as well as unlocking that door. Coming through here is where the pace of the level starts to ramp up. You get ambushed by these combined soldiers. This kind of follows the 5-15 rule that Valve implements in a lot of their games. The idea is that you have 5 minutes of kind of slowed down puzzle solving or platforming, and then 15 minutes of combat or action-packed, faster gameplay. These enemies at the top here are not an absolute necessity to take out. They will sometimes go off and hide in the rooms, which they will ambush you later on, and you'll have to take them out. You can also take them out with these little barrels. Again, the more the player pays attention to the environment around them, the more fun they're going to be having, because they can actually use the environment as a weapon. Just another hidden supply cache indicated by the symbol. Coming up through here is just a little bit of storytelling. Storytelling in Half-Life is a key aspect, or rather environmental storytelling. It just adds to the sense of realism. It just makes things more interesting. Here is a little zombie, and you'll see he's just banging on this door. He will just completely ignore you until you start attacking him, and then he'll come after you. It's just a little thing, just to add some difference to the encounters that you have with your enemies. And here you have some more zombies. Take that guy out quite easily, and some more through here. One thing you can do though is pick up this TV and just throw it at the enemy as an easy way to get rid of them. And again, just rewarding the player for paying attention to what's around them and being creative with how they go about progressing through the level. Through here we have some more storytelling. You just see some rebels fighting with combined soldiers. It also draws your attention to it through the audio. You hear these big gunshots coming to the side. You can also see that light all the way in the background there, and we'll come back to that later. So here we go into quite a dark room, so the flashlight is needed. You'll see some enemies who will jump out and attack you, as well as some supply crates. Here is another scripted event where this zombie just runs at you through the door. Again, just variation in the encounters of enemies. Now here we have the planks again. This is another thing that Valve likes to do in their games. They'll introduce a very simple mechanic at the start of the game, or rather at any point in the game, but the mechanic will be necessary to progress through the level. And then when you see the mechanic again for a second time, often it is not used to progress through the main story of the level, but rather as a side quest. Just indicating to the player that these mechanics allow them to discover new parts of the map, or rather find hidden supply caches. Just taking out these last couple of zombies, and we'll come up into the attic. Coming through here is where the bounce of the level starts. You'll see this bridge raise, as well as some more fighting down below, and the enemies will start shooting at you. Now you can take them out from here, or you can simply hide in the attic and progress through and take them out just through here. The reason that I made that bridge animated is again just to draw the player's attention towards it, just to kind of give them an indication that they need to do something with that bridge. If they had looked around to the left from over at the bridge, they would have seen this lit tower. Just another subtle indication that this is where they need to be going. Another supply cache hidden behind some crates. And finally, another button. You'll see the bridge come down, and this guy will continue to shoot at you. You can also break through the windows. You also pick up the rocket launcher as a very clear indication that this is where you can actually take this guy out. He's relatively easy to deal with, you just have to shoot him a couple of times. You don't have to sit in this tower though. I made it so you can come down here and use this rocket crate as well. He sometimes moves up. He can move up to here. He just moves wherever he wants to. And there we go, we've taken him down. Now I'm actually going to go back here and pick up some more rockets. This is because I know what's coming. The player may not do this, but it's just something that adds a little bit more fun to the game, in the ability to use this rocket launcher in the final level just to take out some enemies. And then coming back to where the obstacle initially was, you can now cross over the bridge and head down the fire escape. And there you'll see the light that we saw from the bridge all the way over there, and then just behind that building or behind the warehouse is where we initially started. And then that brings you to the end of the map.